When we raised this issue yesterday, when we interviewed Rebecca and her parents, a number of other parents contacted us in relation to the matter, and they had similar tales to tell. Amongst them, Valerie, a parent who's on the line now. Thanks for joining us, Valerie, this morning.
Thank you for asking me on.
Valerie, you're listening to our discussion on Gardasil, the vaccine. Unfortunately, you too are in that situation, and your family are. What happened to your daughter? Tell us.
Well, my daughter, who's now 19, received the first lot of the Gardasil vaccine when I came into Ireland in 2010. And I have a nursing background myself, and all my children have all had their vaccines. And I thought this was a good thing. This was to prevent cervical cancer, and the side effects that we were notified of seemed to be minimal. And I felt very good going ahead with this. And my daughter had the 3 doses in 2010 and 11. And she didn't have any immediate reaction where some girls have had. It was over a course of the year that she was very tired all the time. She would have been a person that walked a lot, cycled, played karate, and, she gave up those activities. She suffered with headaches. The first lot of symptoms she seemed to have was pain and lumps like the size of golf balls in her back and her neck and her shoulders.
Right.
And I'm a massage therapist also, and I used to work on them, and it didn't help her. Nothing I did helped. And I got a physiotherapist to come into the house for over 2 or 3 months to work on her. He said he couldn't understand the problems with her hips and her shoulders. They weren't anything he'd seen before. He referred me on to an osteopath. Because my daughter also had, clicking in her wrists, clicking in her hips, a problem with her jaw, TMJ. Her mouth would difficult to swallow and to eat. It just was a natural progression, one symptom after another, but it occurred over months. And we attended those people privately. The physio didn't work. The osteopathy was short-term effect. She also had really cold hands and feet all the time. She used to wear a coat inside. She had pins and needles in her arms and legs, shooting down her arms and legs. Frequently had chest pain with palpitations, and she had to give up walking altogether because she got so much chest pain she couldn't breathe, which was devastating for her. She was very fit and active. She had pains in her stomach, doubled over with pain, and she found that food that she had eaten for years, she no longer could tolerate, just became intolerant to things. She had frequent sore throats every other week, a sore throat, difficulty swallowing, like lumps in her throat, mucus, she'd say, all this mucus, Mum, and her lymph glands were enlarged in her throat and under her arm and her pelvis as well. She'd get up in the morning when she was going to school. She'd stand up and she'd get dizzy and she'd fall forward and she'd have to sit back on the bed. Sometimes she'd call me to help her. She would get up at 7:30 to go to school. She'd have her breakfast, be back in bed by 8:00, lie down for half an hour before she'd get herself, ready to go to school. She was unable to carry her school bag. Somebody used to have to carry it to school in for her. They had to get a special chair for her in school. It affected her writing. She had to get a special grip for her pen. And this is a girl, my daughter, she was doing 7 honours. She was an A student in school. She wanted to be a doctor. And she was so academic. And she went from being an academic person, because it's so upsetting to think of it, just to even a struggle to get into school each day. And last year, she was doing her leaving cert and still hoping to be a doctor. And she went to school every morning for an hour and a half. She picked the classes that she felt she could stay awake in, because she used to fall asleep in some of her classes. She had been to see a rheumatologist, and they put her on medication to see would it help her. And the side effects of that were actually worse than her symptoms. And she struggled on just going to school. She had 4 days in school, 4 full days from Christmas last year. She studied at home by herself with minimal help from anybody, very little help offered. And, she did quite well, but it was purely her own, she just persevered. She wouldn't be a girl to give in to things. She was, which is very difficult for a lot of girls in this situation. Mentally, it drags them down this constant pain every single day.
Yeah, and you're convinced, Valerie, are you, that this is connected with the vaccination she got, the Gardasil she got?
I have no doubt, because my daughter was never at the doctor. She has no past illnesses. She had no surgery. The only thing she ever had in her medical history was a tonsillitis. Nothing before this. And since this, now she's had like 5 hospital stays in the last 18 months. She's had ovarian cysts. She never had, she's had 2 episodes of them. She's had surgery. And
what are the medical professionals saying? What are they saying in hospitals? What is causing all this, or have they any idea?
Do you know, initially when I went first with different things, I didn't put it all together. I just saw all these different symptoms. I didn't think of the vaccine, because I didn't know that all these were possible side effects. It was only as time went on that I put it together. And when I was met with silence, actually, a GP sort of had nothing to say to me. When we went into hospital, a rheumatologist sort of said it was the stress of school, stress of study, she'll be better when all her exams are over, but she needs to push through the pain. You need to get out there, you need to push yourself. It's more or less, it's in your head. And we saw 2 rheumatologists like that, and they just recommend occupational therapy and counselling.
And when did you first suspect that it may be linked? And it's not proven, of course, we have to stress that, but when did you suspect there may be a direct link, or did you always feel that could have been the case, Valerie?
You know, I thought about it, but I thought because the symptoms came on a delayed, if you like, that they didn't come on immediately in the first week or 2. I thought, no, it couldn't be that. So I kind of put it to the back of my mind. But after 3 or 4 years of all these symptoms, I actually started, I read up on it myself, but when I actually saw articles on the paper, when I saw one of my customers, I'm a chiropodist as well, came into me with an article and said, my God, this is your daughter. This is your daughter's story on this paper. I didn't know there were other people like me. I actually didn't know, and I saw the documentary that R.E.G.R.E.T had, and it was like looking at our story in front of us. People rang me that evening. Lots of people rang me to say, oh my God, this is your daughter. She has all these symptoms. And I was so upset, to be honest. I feel so guilty. So guilty, because I gave her this vaccine in good faith. This vaccine was given to us with minimal information. Yeah. The side effects that we were given, the few side effects, there was no mention of any more serious side effects.
And as you know, the authorities, the medical authorities, the HSE are still standing by the safety in general of the vaccine. So where are you at the moment as a family?
Well, at the moment, I have gone, like we have a neurologist on board as well, and, I've asked him to look into it. They're not interested. They're just not interested. Nobody will listen to us. It's not documented anywhere in her notes. It's not. We reported this to the HPRA, the regulatory body in Ireland, and each doctor is meant to report an issue. They don't. None of them have reported it because they haven't got back to us looking for information. So our doctors are not doing their job properly. And one of the doctors in my GP practice has said this to me. Why isn't this out there? Why isn't it on the radio? Why isn't it everywhere on the television? This is horrendous, and he cannot understand why some medical colleagues of his are treating us mothers with our children affected like this. He said this to me last week. And it's like we're making this up. I mean, how could 350 people, there's 200,000 people vaccinated so far, and that works out about 1 in 600 people are suffering side effects. I mean, my daughter, I'm thankful that my daughter doesn't have seizures. That's about one of the only symptoms she doesn't have. Other people, they're in wheelchairs. My daughter managed to go to college this year. She started in September. And after being resting all summer, 6 weeks into college, she fell asleep every morning in her lectures. She'd be back in bed at 6 o'clock in the evening with heat pads, hot water bottles on, not able to move. She stood up in one of her lectures in November. She was paralysed from her knees down. She couldn't walk. She had no sensation in her legs. She ended up in one of the Dublin hospitals being investigated. Yeah. Nothing is coming up in the tests. MRIs are fine. Our blood work shows that her immune system is under attack. There's inflammation going on there. We're currently with an infectious disease doctor who has found something wrong with her. And it's there in black and white. She has an infection that's related to Lyme disease. It's a chronic infection. More than likely it's been there a few years. It's probably attacked her throat. It causes the problems there, the mucus. It causes pneumonia in a lot of girls. It's affected her heart. It causes built up a plaque on the lining of their arteries when it's left there for a number of years. It causes inflammation in the brain. This vaccine has triggered off all these infections. Their immune system is so low that some people have these infections in their body, they fight them off. They can't even fight off a cold or a cough. Every week, my daughter rings me with something new. If there's 2 nights on the phone that I don't hear from her, I am there, oh my God, she's getting better. And sometimes you think she's getting better. We get 3 weeks. It seems to go on a 3-week cycle that she might have 3 relatively good weeks. Now, good for her, not good for you and me.
Yeah.
And then she rings and says, Mum, I was doubled over today. I'm in severe pain. Mum, it's my throat. It's my jaw. It's always something else. And like, I'm a healthy person. We lead a healthy lifestyle. We've done the diet. She's on a wheat, dairy, sugar, soy, and meat-free diet for the last year and a half, and that has helped. She has to juice every morning before she goes to college. She has to get up an hour and a half early to do all her food and daily juicing. She's on supplements, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all those things. She attends a nutritionist regularly, and we get a lot of advice from her. That has really helped. I do massage and reflexology. I did it daily on her all last year. She's at acupuncture, kinesiology. We've done all the alternative things. And now we're doing the medical as well. But I have been told by one of the GPs in my practice that I'm over-medicalising everything and that I need to stand back and stop putting my daughter through unnecessary tests. And that's in the last few weeks.
All right, okay.
And that's not very reassuring from your own GP.
It's a disturbing story yet again, not the first we've heard this week. Valerie, thanks for joining us on the programme this morning.
Thanks very much for having me on.